the Lord of the Rings franchise is just having continuations, and, whether it's from a new series coming out from Amazon, or if we talk about a new game coming out from the Lord of the Rings, that being Gollum. And guys, I want to talk about everything we know so far about Gollum, this title, and what it could mean for the overarching franchise of the Lord of the Rings in video game format. So let's talk about it. So, guys, in an article written by Joe Skrebels of IGN, the Lord of the Rings Gollum will mix Prince of Persia-like stealth action featuring a branching narrative and expand on the hints given by J.R.R. Tolkien about the store formerly known as Smeagol to create a brand new Lord of the Rings story that aims to fit alongside the books. So, we have a trailer that came out, guys, and I gotta say, it's very interesting and intriguing to me that the direction that they've decided to go in is a game based around Gollum. And, just around the creature and around just, this character in this universe. It's very interesting to me, but they're taking the stealth approach here. Gollum will be a game broadly spent in two distinct states, either stealthily making your way past the various hulking threats living in Mordor and making narrative choices as the warring personalities of Smeagol and Gollum fight for control. The former should be familiar to many. The game mixes stealth with vertical climbing parkour, explains lead game designer Martin Wilkes. If you want a reference, you might think of it as similar to Prince of Persia. It is mostly a non-combat game, but Gollum will be able to stealthily take out enemies. However, this will not be easy and always come with big risks. We want players to carefully weigh these encounters. After all, Gollum's strengths lie in cunning, not combat. So the narrative, guys, narrative gameplay between those stealth sections, Gollum will be forced to make decisions and dialogue choices, choosing from responses proposed by both his gentler Smeagol personality and the Gollum psyche that emerged after he was corrupted by the One Ring. So do those decisions mean there's a branching narrative to play through? There is, explains Skaben. Also, the decisions you make affect the way the game feels. You always either play as Smeagol or as Gollum as the dominant persona, and that can influence the animations, soundscapes, certain gameplay situations, and in-game dialogue. So, very interesting. I mean, just so interesting that they decided to go in this direction. Not that I don't like Gollum. I mean, he's a very, unique character for, of course, the Lord of the Rings in the universe. My thought is that they've done so much already in this universe from a video game perspective, from movie perspective, from, now having a series made from Amazon, that they felt that we need to do something, that's different completely, not a hobbit, not, a soldier, not, do something very different. And Gollum is certainly that, without a doubt. Now, the level design and the structure. Middle-earth is a huge place, and we've seen other games adapted as an open world, but Gollum will take a slightly more curated approach. The game is, for the most part, structured in sets of levels and hubs, Wilkes explains. When Gollum arrives at a new location, the places where he can go from that hub are limited until he either works his way in, for example, the prisons of the Dark Tower, finds secret passages or information, or manages to scheme his way into otherwise restricted areas. Some levels are completely open in all three dimensions and can be explored freely, while others are more linear, but often with alternative routes where players can, for example, decide if they rather sneak around some guards or take a risky parkour route in heights to pass the next segment. So I like that a lot, actually. I kind of like how there's going to be, it seems like it's going to be like a semi-open world setting, guys. It seems like there's going to be places where you're able to explore a little bit. There's going to be other spots where it's more of a linear approach. One thing I'm excited about, though, is to be able to explore the Dark Tower, explore all these different places in Middle Earth, especially with the series that's going to be, coming out from Amazon. This is going to be a great way, depending on when this game, does finally get released. It's going to be really cool to be able to explore it in a different way, in through the eyes of Gollum. I think that's going to be really something that we got to keep an eye on. So, as far as the story, this is a big one, guys. What are we doing all of this stealthing and interwarring for? We knew previously that the game would be set in the relatively unexplored time period before we meet Gollum in the Lord of the Rings books, and now we know how this new story begins with Shreyan explaining we start our story parallel to the first book, when Frodo is still in the Shire and knows nothing about anything. Gollum at that time ventures to Mordor, still desperately looking for Bilbo Baggins in the ring. Unfortunately, he gets caught by Sauron's servants, and this is basically where our story begins. Gollum's overall goal in the game, adds Wilkes, well, that's a bit more complicated. Obviously, Gollum wants to escape his captors and retake the ring and hopefully get his hands on some nice fish along the way. After some time, though, the Smeagol side causes trouble and distractions and opens up new conflicting goals that we cannot talk about yet. We follow Tolkien's story quite strictly and only to take some freedom for purposes of gamification or sometimes simplification, says Shreyan. Tolkien doesn't describe Gollum's story before he appears in the book in great detail, so mainly we draw from small notes in the appendices and secondhand reports from characters like Gandalf. Since we need to fill in many gaps, it gives us quite a bit of creative freedom to pursue our narrative vision. And I do like that as well. I really like that there is going to be somewhat that freedom for them to kind of do, because it's going to really introduce new things to us. You know, you don't want to just be a copy and paste of the movies, of the books and such, because then it feels like, oh, we're just kind of doing this over again. We already know what happens and such. That's why this is kind of neat. I like this concept. Now, at the same time, we would have never gotten the chance to work on this project if that vision would not be in tune with the source material. Think of it like taking a few verses from the Bible and extending them to a novel without changing the overall narrative. And what of Gollum is himself? As many pointed out after the first screenshots emerged, the character looks like a slightly more wide-eyed take on the version Andy Serkis made famous. As it turns out, that's more or less the point. Fisher explains the goal with the design of their anti-hero. With Gollum himself, our goal is to make him more relatable, as players have to be able to slip into his skin for the course of an entire game. That's why our Gollum looks less creepy and has more hair than the movie version. So, with that, guys, those are the things that we know. We know a good amount, but I think that it's going to be interesting to see as we get closer to the launch, the release date of this, which at this point in time, it's supposed to release in 2021. Who knows if that's going, take that date with a pinch of salt, guys, or that year with a pinch of salt, just because of the pandemic and how that could maybe push things back slightly, depending on how far into development they are. I gotta say, though, I am excited about this title. I'm just more intrigued than anything to just see what it's all about. So, give it a try, take the reins as Gollum, a totally, new character that we're able to control from our perspective in video game format. We know this character from the movies, we know him from the books, but now being able to actually play as him within a video game is something very interesting. It's an interesting take that they're doing here. Who knows what it could lead to, and that's what I'm very excited about. But let me know, guys, in the comment section down below, what are you guys excited about here with Gollum? Let me know, and for more Gollum content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.